Welcome in, everyone, to this week's The Wrap Up. Today is August 4th, 2023, and my friend Alts and I are going to run you through what is going on in the Luxo network this week, wrapping up all the important news the best that we possibly can with sweaty palms because we're live streaming for the very first time. Alts, how you doing?
I'm doing good, buddy. I think I'm invisible right now. There we go. Found me. But no, I'm doing great, man. It's nice to be coming at you guys from the virtual space instead of the cold, dead space of Twitter, right? There's just not a lot we can do visually. So this is definitely a different vibe, and we appreciate everyone who's joining us on our first go. We might have a bit of bugs here and there because we are traveling through some turbulent spaces out in the multiverse, but we are ready to rock and roll and wrap up another exciting week of Luxo.
That's right. We've got Alpha Pink Turi in the background, that wonderful pink space, pink land, ready to be built out by all you wonderful users of Universal Profiles. We'll be landing sometime late August, early September, and everyone will be able to stake their claim with their new digital identities. I'm excited.
Yes, absolutely love it. Should we just get into it? Let's dive straight in.
Yeah, let's dive straight into this bad boy. I think we've got a hashtag for this show.
Oh, that is right. Yeah, let's go and give a shout out to the fam. If you want to go onto Twitter and do a hashtag pink pill, we can we'll grab some of these and throw them into the live stream and give you guys a shout as well. And we, like I said, we appreciate everyone who's joining us live here today.
Love it. All right, let's go up and to the right. Up and to the right is our weekly review of the markets through a Luxo perspective. We're going to present a range of prices from the lowest to the highest, and we'll give you the prevailing price at the time of the broadcast. We'll provide a summary of the market capitalization for Luxo each week, and we're going to compare the Luxo market cap to the existing market framework and state our market cap goal. Right now, it's a humble top 100. So over the last 7 days, we had a 7-day low of $5.86. Now I'm quoting the Lux chart here, not the LUKSO chart. The 7-day high is $7.35, and we've seen some volatility, although it's flattening out. And we got a current price of about $6.18. That gives us a market capitalization of $95,702,985. That's a mouthful. And in order to reach the top 100, we would need to be at $380,631,632, which would give us a price of $12.28. Currently in the top 100, occupying the number 100 spot on CoinGecko is Bone Shiba Swap. And if you wanted to jump over Bone Shiba Swap and get to 99, you'd have to get to Conflux. What this tells me, Alts, is top 100 is very doable.
Bone Shiba Swap. That sounds like a mouthful of, yeah. The fundamentals don't sound amazing to me. But yeah, we're headed to the top 100. And when we get there, like sky's the limit. Yeah, like you said, it's just a bunch of nonsense around, around that section, to be honest. It's but you know what that shows is that we're early and that the space is hungry for some actual real fundamentals that are kind of game-changing technology, I feel.
Yeah, and if you look at this, if you look at the chart here, we've had high volume on a couple days there, and it's probably some early investors that just decided to get out. Why? I can't answer that goddamn question right now because we're so early. Why get out before the launch of Universal Profiles makes no sense to me. What is interesting is most of the early investors, most of the early holders are holding on. In fact, some are actually becoming validators themselves. I think that's super bullish.
Yeah, that's what you want to see ultimately is everyone, or a good chunk of them just saying, I waited this long. What's the rush to sell at such a low price? And whenever things are just now getting started, like why not just plug in and help support the network and start making some dope rewards in the process?
Yeah, absolutely. This is not financial advice in any way, shape, or form. So please don't take it as such. This is just a couple of pink degens pinking out on you right now. However, if you are a pink degen, now's looking like a pretty good time to be aware of what the market conditions are, right?
Yeah, well said. Not financial advice, degen advice.
Degen advice. I love that. All right, moving on to the next section. We've got a network update that is and I had a pregnant pause there because I didn't want to talk over the audio. Network update, which we are forcing LYX.tools and Vlad to not actually sponsor at all, but we are just loving his website and the community good that he is throwing out there for the ecosystem. So we've got some statistics for you now. Total validators that are active on the network. Off the Luxo migration site, the Luxo validation site, we've got 36,568. That does not take into account the pending validators. Actually, our total number of validators is more in the range of about 37,867 as pulled right off of my Grafana. That gives pending validators of about 1,171. And if you were to join the network today with a validator, it would take you 1.3 days to go online and become active, which is actually kind of cool. What we have here, actually, we got a tweet queued up from Vlad Lakonis himself telling us that reports are coming to LUKSO.tools. If you are a validator and you're looking to make tax season just a little bit easier, LUKSO.tools is going to provide you a powerful reports feature, which is going to clean up all of those reward sweeps because they are automated friends. So this is a luxury alt that I am looking forward to taking advantage of hardcore. I don't know about you.
Yes, most definitely. Shout out Vlad. We keep those reports coming, fam.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe we've got a screenshot of the LUKSO.tools website here. We've got a couple metrics going across the top. We've got distribution, inflation, and then a few other of those validator numbers that we quoted. Those have moved because you're looking at a screenshot. So I gave you the live quote before. Our distribution number is actually the percent of unique validators that own 51% of the validators. That's a mouthful there. Look at the pie chart. What that's telling you is 12.48% of nodes own 51% of the network. If you're looking for a healthy and decentralized network, you want that number to move towards as close to 0% as it can get, right? Because that would mean that a very small piece of the pie would own most of it. If you look at the distribution right now, you can see that the largest validator on the network owns over 3,700 validators. What you're seeing is each slice of the pie is a node, and each node varies in size. If you have a whole bunch of validators on a node, then you would have a very large piece of pie. If you have a very small piece of pie, then you probably have very few validators. We want lots of pieces of pie, my friends. That's what we want. That's what distribution says, and we're looking to drive that number as close to 0 as possible. Inflation means how many tokens have been issued relative to the total number of stake coins. So if we have 1 million coins and inflation was 10%, that means that we would have had 100,000 tokens distributed. Hopefully that is a concept that resonates for everyone here. If not, we'll just keep saying it week over week over week until it drills into your brain.
Yes, just keep drilling it into their brains, fam. But it's like, it's all about the network adoption, and it takes time, and you know, we're headed down the right path, and everything's been running so smoothly already. So I feel great about it. But actually, let's go ahead and go to Twitter. We've got a few tweets. Get those thrown up. We've got some shout outs from the fam. Oh, we'll head into the Pinkest tweet as well. All right, so shout out Canvasland. We've got a tweet from Canvasland as they're already showcasing some of the cool things that we could, you know, get to integrate with these universal profiles. So we'll be, you know, they're going to be building in spatial mostly right now. So they kind of crafted this epic pink Luxo castle. Highly recommend going and checking that out. It's a beautiful piece of work. And I'm glad that they're choosing to build, you know, in the pink ecosystem of Luxo. And I'm looking forward to kind of seeing their continued expansion, you know, out into the multiverse. And I'm sure they have some dope events coming up, and I can't wait to party with them again out into the multiverse.
Yeah, it's really great to see the people at Canvasland embracing the chain, quote unquote. Metaverse is really a playground, and Canvasland is providing some custom Lux-based experiences so that our community can really enjoy what Canvasland as a team has built, but also pretty soon you might be able to enjoy the Pink Pill Meta Yacht in a digital space. I think that's really cool. They're continuing to unlock the possibilities of what's possible as long as people are willing to explore the frontier. I know here at KEEZ, that's something that we're really interested in bringing to you. We love the VR spaces, as you can tell from this broadcast, and we want to try to FOMO as many of you in as possible.
Yeah, indeed, that is the ultimate goal. Reeve, just get more and more fam into it. We'll sprawl out into virtual reality too.
Yeah, absolutely. So that actually brings us to our F.A.M.E tweet of the week, which is going to be F.A.M.E was quoted in the blueprint for the new creative economies. That is fashion, art, music, or entertainment, really the cornerstones of what we would call the new creative economy. And as you can see, we've got Findura, we've got Fabian himself sitting at the table with a member from the District VR, Leadfoot, and they're having an interview. And what I like is you got a chance to hear Fabian and Leadfoot talking about something other than blockchain. And in fact, maybe Fabian Alt created the Luxo network and the for this new creative economy just so that he could have a platform to release his music. Because if you watch this little interview, Fabian himself is a DJ. Although he started on vinyl, he actually tells us that he invested in some new tools so he can create some music, maybe release it on his own. I don't know about you, but I would be very close to the first in line to pick up any music that Fabian threw out there just for the curiosity's sake alone.
Yes, 1000%. I'd actually found some of his old music like back in my OG days of scrounging the interwebs for Luxo Alpha. I'd found a couple of his pieces from like forever ago, maybe like 10 years ago. And it was pretty dope. So like, yeah, if he's ready to get back to it, I would be all about it. And I love the concept of just like this. Yeah, this new dope utility that nobody saw coming. You know, Fabian resurrecting his DJ skills. Like I'm here for it. And I can't wait to see what the District VR as a platform like evolves into. You know, maybe we can get Fabian to do a set on rapping on universal profile, so we can just like subconsciously pink pill while people while we're at the club.
I love that. You know, Leadfoot's always been a really great friend to KEEZ, so I'm happy to see Leadfoot thriving over in Berlin and hanging out over in the office, the Luxo headquarters. I love the mirror in the back there that says F normal because
Yeah.
this is the new creative economy needs anything other than normal. We need people to really push the boundaries here. And that's something that I know Leadfoot is doing on his within the Leadfoot project in Upturn. So it's really, it was great to see Leadfoot interviewing here. And I can't wait to see where this goes, Alt.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. Shout out Leadfoot. Keep crushing it, fam. And yeah, speaking of Fabian, we had a couple of amazing interviews recently. He sat down and chatted with both Cointelegraph and KuCoin, and I highly recommend. And they're about 30 to 40 minutes each. I mean, just an insane amount of alpha. And Fabian has gotten so good at condensing everything down, you know, to where it's digestible in such a short period, highlighting kind of the things that are, you know, being talked about in the Ethereum space that no one's just quite aware of. But yeah, Eth, did you have any thoughts on Cointelegraph? What'd you think?
Yeah, the Cointelegraph interview was a great one. The part that I want to pull out to really, I guess, get across to all the viewers today in the community is the reason for a new network and not in another L2 on Ethereum. That question comes up a lot, and it will continue to come up from, I guess, people in the Ethereum community, although Luxo is Ethereum. So that sounds a little awkward coming out of my mouth, but I think you get what I'm saying. Fabian does a great job of explaining why, and it has to do with this idea that you could propose almost any standard in the noisy Ethereum standard space. They've got over 7,000. And in fact, Fabian says in this interview, one of the most recent standards that was proposed is actually making edits to the ERC20 standard, which was the first standard ever proposed in this standard space. And he goes, it's just really, really loud there. So we could put all these standards and we could say, hey, this is the great way to do it. Just do it like this and everything will be solved. And you'll get everybody that, and well, Fabian says you'd get a lot of people that would say, no, thanks. That's a lot of work. Don't want to go there. So rather than fight that inertia or that momentum in that ecosystem, move over to another L1. And now in a quiet standard space, you can rethink from first principles how to make things happen. And that's what we get with this new layer one for the new creative economy that the Luxo team has laid out, this fundamental standard of ERC 725 that's, again, been upgraded and added to make the LSP0 standard and then universal profiles so that we can have a really clean, familiar blockchain experience for the average person. And I think that that is exciting, and it's lost a lot of people. Like, you know, why not be an L2? Well, if you're an L2, again, you're fighting all of this activity around these old token standards. If you start fresh, then you don't have to fight it. And I guess additionally, also what I'll add to it is if you start fresh, the Luxo team has been very forward thinking and intentional about reserving a certain amount of tokens to subsidize early transactions on the network. So what will happen is these smart contract based accounts, which are gas intensive to create, will all be subsidized, especially early on by the Luxo network, and then maybe in the future by, like Fabian said in this interview, a competitive gas relayer system where people might create the profile for you and give you so much gas to give you a taste for it. And then you might get like a telecom analog where you pay for a certain amount of transactions per month. I thought this was a great interview for people who don't know much about the ecosystem. It's a great leaping off point.
Yeah, no, it's such a great overview there. And you're right. Like Ethereum in its current construction it's noisy, it's congested. There's a lot of people just piling more and more shit on top of it, right? And it gets pretty convoluted pretty quickly, and with that it becomes more more centralized, less secure, just more inefficient. You know what I mean? So it's like, but you can't. It's a big ask to get everyone in the Ethereum space to be like, hey, let's roll things back and start over from scratch. Like, it's just not going to happen, right? They've already kind of committed to this path, even though at its initial creation, like with the ERC20 standard, it's like Fabian knew back then, even when he co-authored that like this is a band-aid, like this is not the future of blockchain. We just threw this out there and we kind of rushed it, but then people just grabbed it and ran with it, So at least they had the foresight to kind of realize that like we need to kind of just sidestep this and start from scratch to really reach the full potential. And he kind of leans into that too in his other interview with KuCoin, which we've actually got a soundbite from that. We'll go and play for you guys here. It's a great interview too. So make sure you check that one out.
Things you can do around obviously the fashion community and digital fashion, which is very big, which then goes into the gamer community because there you need skins and all of these things. Now you can be the same on-chain blockchain account within a game, within your website or your community or your common ground Discord community, wherever you're the same blockchain profile. So basically creating new accounts is a thing of the past, because what you now do is you just log in. Wherever you go, you just log in with the few profiles that you have at all times, again and again. And that's just, exactly why it's called universal profile, right? Because it's universally used everywhere. And that will completely change everything. That will bring a whole new level of users into this space that hasn't even existed yet. Because currently the blockchain space is grinding on the same group of people over the last 3 years. That's why nothing is really moving. And the only DApps that fly are the DApps that have to do with DeFi and money, because there's people that are willing enough to go through the hoops because they think there's money to be made. But you don't have normal users on blockchain. And that's going to change now, because it will be a lot simpler to do that kind of stuff.
Hearing Fabian speak about Luxo, becoming the top 10 in the ecosystem, that just gets me really excited. Like, and as he said, like we're solving the biggest problem that no one has even touched on yet. Like, how do you get people into the blockchain that no one's using it yet, right? Only these monetary instruments that we've seen. Like, you need a better UX, and no one has attempted to do that at the core level. So instead, they're only being added on layers, making a convoluted mess in the process, like we kind of talked about, making it less decentralized, less secure, more complicated with a host of issues. But people are just now starting to discuss and trying to figure out how to change that UX, but Fabian has been thinking about that, like he said, for over 5 years, and Luxo has been building it for over 3 now. So, we're taking the best of Ethereum and just adding the best of Luxo. They're kind of getting the best of both worlds, moving forward. And it's going to be quite a behemoth, I think. And like, as Fabian said, Ethereum is the fancy version, Luxo is the fancy version of Ethereum.
Fancy, right? Like the foundation name, fancy. I always think that's clever to say it. I chuckled to myself. I liked your tweet that you had relative to that interview, Alt, where you said universal profiles are greater than wallets, because there's going to be so much more that you can do with a profile. This idea of a profile really unlocks this idea of, I guess, reputation or interaction-based reputation, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have one login for everything, then everything that you do, especially if it's verified by transactions on chain, are going to accumulate into your reputation. And reputation is something that we are so accustomed to having in the real world, but in this metaverse world, without profiles, it's very hard to figure out if someone's a good actor or a bad actor sometimes. So I'm really looking forward to what universal profiles allows us to do. I know it's really hard to articulate without being able to use them so people can see what's happening. But I think if your imaginations run wild enough and you think about your social interactions using any one of your social media platforms right now, I think you can get a sense for what reputation could potentially look like. And it'll just be supercharged because it's going to be a chain.
Fun, right? And luckily, we don't have to wait too much longer for universal profiles to roll out. Probably in the next 4 or 5 weeks or so, we're going to actually see those come to fruition. And then, yeah, then the shackles come off and we get to see implementation and be able to showcase these things. And especially we get that universal profile browser and an app, like, yeah, I think stuff's going to get exciting real fast.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly going to further the conversation on account abstraction. So that actually brings us to a Medium post from the new developer relations at Luxo, Bianca. It was actually a fantastic article. If you haven't had a chance to read it yet, it just very quickly, the tweet from Luxo just clipped out some key ideas saying you can control your profile with multiple keys and devices. You can optimize levels of security for different types of transactions, and you can get a gasless transit experience. In the Medium article, Bianca writes, one of the most popular topics at ETHCC, the Ethereum Community Conference in Paris, was account abstraction. From Beyond 4337 and Account Abstraction Village to multiple other panels and presentations, there was plenty of discourse centered on how to approach account abstraction. In the article, Bianca says that she's going to tackle Luxo's unique approach to account abstraction and how it aims to move the space beyond the EIP 4337 solution. There's a couple quotes that she throws in. One's from Vitalik that says, if we can't solve account abstraction, Ethereum's going to fail. And then we have another one from Shor Lucas that says, we need to have modular account abstraction features. What's interesting here, Alts, is in both of the interviews that Fabian gave, Fabian says, hey, if you're looking for account abstraction, everything that you're asking for, we've actually done. We've completed that. We've been thinking about it for 5 years and we're ready to go with universal profiles.
Yeah, modular is the way to go because it makes it extensible, it makes it upgradable, customizable, and that's ultimately like what you need for the future of the space, right? Because you can't quite imagine what it's going to be. Like even when Ethereum first launched, right? Like people didn't know quite yet that like ICO is going to happen and DeFi and NFTs and stuff like that, right? So, but now we're taking that even further out with standards that are going to allow even more, customization. And I love the fact that like Vitalik, realize VR Talik, if you know him in VR, but he says that we can't solve account abstraction. Ethereum will fail. And that's, I agree with that because we're kind of already seeing these upper limits of what's possible. Like, it's like almost like you have to be okay putting up with a certain level of just bullshit to deal with these clunky pieces that is the current state of crypto, right? Like the average person will just simply not do it. So yeah, I think we definitely need to move beyond that and fully take those bricks out of the bag for the end user, for them to really fully experience this stuff.
Yeah, to pull a couple excerpts out here from the article, Bianca says, the main idea behind account abstraction is to transition from EOA accounts to smart contract-based accounts with arbitrary verification logic that will improve usability and flexibility. When it comes to account abstraction, it's also vital to consider how the account will interact with the blockchain. Allowing flexible authorization logic and decoupling the account from the signer gives the freedom to developers to experiment with features such as hardware signers, social recovery, multi-factor authentication, quantum-resistant and gas-efficient signatures, replacing signers, multiple signers, and hybrid custody setups. A couple definitions there. If you wondered what an EOA was, that's an externally controlled account. Think your private key allows you to do things on behalf of your MetaMask, right? Smart contract accounts operate under code governance, and that's in contrast to the more prevalent EOA, right? So if you've ever used an Argent wallet, you can think of that as a smart contract account. And that is exactly what a universal profile is going to be. It's going to be a blockchain-based smart contract account. I realize this is all a mouthful, and that is why you should go and you should read that Medium article from Bianca. Bianca is the DevRel, again, developer relations for Luxo, and her job is to, in some way, shape, or form, developer relations actually can take a lot of forms, but one of her tasks is an interface between the developers and the community. We've got some great smart contract devs that really go out of their way to help the community understand. Just in the past week, we had a great discussion with Yaman in the KEEZ Discord. And it's really important that those discussions continue. And I'm really happy that Bianca took the time to write this article to try to give people a window into what's going on.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Shout out Bianca for that article. Super solid. And I love the recent hype around the EIP standards, such as, 1271 and 4337. Like, it gets people to kind of start really imagining the potential for the future of, changing blockchain and extrapolating a lot of these elements away for their users, like to tackle those challenges. Like Luxo, like we said a minute before, like they're starting with a completely clean slate with, with a host of tools that are just going to make it easier for everyone. And Luxo was conceived with that smart contract based account in mind. So therefore, like, they're kind of ensuring that they're interoperable, which is going to be such a key factor, because like Fabian always says, like, it's not going to be one blockchain to rule them all. Like, no, we're going to need an ecosystem of blockchains for various different purposes. And we need those blockchains to be able to, interact together ultimately for this stuff to grow out to its true potential. And what this allows is, like, additionally, the subsidizing early users with the relay service. And especially, like, for Luxo, the foundation, to be able to cover transaction fees for X amount of, I mean, it depends on how much, how busy the network gets, but it could be a runtime of like up to a year of free transactions for everyone just to come and test and play out, and utilize these standards and the universal profiles and kind of see what can be built. I think you're going to see a lot of really interesting implementations, because what better chance to move beyond just the monetary side of things and experiment than, with subsidized transactions. And and the gasless, right? And it's like you can do it so well with these standards, is that the end user won't even know they're using the blockchain, right? And it's, for instance, like if someone goes on a site and they order a piece and it's a digital, it's like there's a digital and the physical tied together. You could just send them an email, a hot link, right? That they could access the digital and not even necessarily even know it's on the blockchain. But on top of that, the beauty of these standards is it allows them to also then take control of that whenever they want, right? Like, depending on what it is, maybe it's something super cheap or simple that there's no reason for them to even take control of it. But if it's something more valuable, then they're going to want the ability, to take control of those. Some people will, some people won't, right? But it's like, that's the beauty of it, is that it's just going to be kind of up to the end user to have that, choice. Currently now, there's no choice. Like, you just have to take care of this shit yourself, right? You have to make your exchange, make your MetaMask, house your keys, do all these things. It's way too much to ask for the average person. So so a combination of gasless, and also moving beyond that, like the social recovery, right? That's another thing that this account abstraction is going to allow with Luxo. Currently, if you house those private keys, your 24 seed phrase or whatever, and you've got it written down, well, if something happens to that and you lose it, or somehow you lose access to your coins or your assets, like, you're done. There's no way to get that back. There's no way to gain access to that. But with social recovery, what you can do is you can use these standards to actually be able to get back into things and gain access through a social network that you've put together, which makes it super safe, but also, like, it's just going to change the game in so many ways. And also, like, the multi-factor authentication, that also brings in more improved security, right? So we're talking about customizable security. So it's just such a pain to, if you're in the space now and you understand on a daily basis how complicated and dangerous it can be to navigate, like the NFT space, right? Like, everyone wants to get involved and mint something sometimes, but it's like, you have to be very, very cautious, because you don't quite know exactly what you're interacting with and what you're signing away, right? People get scammed all the time, or they get their wallets drained because they pulled up some fake website that looks just like the real one, and they signed away access to their NFTs and they lost them all. And like, it's it's so devastating to see happen. And even to like people that have been in the space for a long time, it just continues to happen. And it's sadly, I think it will continue to happen until we have a new user experience. And that's what Luxo is trying to solve on that front, right? And like even like the scam NFTs that end up in your wallet, you know, they're getting more complicated where they will send you a scam NFT that looks just like another NFT that you have, right? And then they'll send an offer. It's a fake WETH offer for X amount. So you might get excited and be like, oh man, somebody's trying to sell me that they want to buy my thing for an ETH and let me go accept that. But then it's like, it's a fake WETH offer that will disappear, but then you're also still giving them access to your stuff and they'll steal them. Like it's just so many dangerous things. So with these universal profiles, it'll be great because you can just simply deny access to those scam NFTs from entering your wallet in the first place, right? So with the tiered layered security, you can have a vault that allows you to interact with other things and platforms and mint and things like that, and giving them the bare minimum access needed to interact without putting anything at risk. Like I think that's one of the biggest factors that people are just underestimating that comes with this new user experience.
Oh, I love that. That's LSP1, the universal receiver there. It's a interesting smart contract standard that will allow developers to build a customizable security layer. I won't be able to pull it right now, but I can think last summer there was like the baby sleeping in bed and there was a man taking all the arrows, rockets and whatever, just like protecting the child that's sleeping. That was like a meme. And I'll tell you, the LSP1 is like that. It can be configured to make it, like Alt said, make it so scam NFTs can't land in your wallet. In fact, only things from approved addresses could land there. That's going to clean things up significantly. I just think overall, we're in a really interesting spot where we know what's coming, but the greater public in the midst of this bear doesn't quite understand, I guess, what these final thoughts are from Bianca. So let me quote the last paragraph in this article here. It says, as the landscape of account abstraction evolves, Luxo's forward-thinking approach allows it to adapt and innovate in the rapidly advancing Web3 ecosystem. Account abstraction is not just on the horizon, it's here. And Luxo is at the forefront of this transition. And then she goes on to say, if you want to learn more about Luxo and its approach to smart contract-based accounts and account abstraction, join the community on Discord and have a look at the documentation, which she links both. If you're interested in learning more, definitely join the Discord. Hop into the KEEZ Discord too, just so you can chat and have a friendly group that you can resonate with. But all of the things that you discussed, it's not in the future. It's really right upon us right now. And I think that's really exciting. You know, in the background, we've got Alpha Pink Turi there. We truly are just waiting for the landing ship, those universal profile landing ships to come out so we can get down there and start colonizing new land.
Yeah, you're right, Eth. Like I think the hackathon, which I'm really excited for the hackathon that's coming up soon. I don't think they set a specific date, but it sounds like it'll be in the next few weeks as well. And I'm guessing they're waiting for universal profiles to roll out and then they can launch that. But it's going to be, yeah, we're going to see. I mean, the previous two hackathons, like the build up, and I can't remember. I think the first one was just called Hackathon. But we saw some really interesting stuff, and that was like bare bones standards to build with, right? But now if we give them the full suite and say go have fun, I think we're going to see some amazing new implementations. And I think that's just what it boils down to is just you want to move beyond just the concept of a wallet, right? Instead of just a digital wallet that houses your keys and maybe has like a URL to a hash and it's just like, that's it. Like, no, we're going to move beyond that and we're going to build a smart contract, wallet, a profile that will literally allow you to just do everything. Yeah. So I think I'm excited for some new implementations and I really want to see some really, really cool stuff. But yeah, that reminds me too of a tweet that you put out the other day. It says, you play long-term games with long-term people. And that's ultimately what was a beautiful picture of us having a moment there, looking at Alpha Pink Tori. But yeah, like if you have a long-term vision in this game, I think it's just a much more fruitful experience because personally, when I dove into crypto, like, I think we all have kind of our own, iteration of this, but it takes you a while you get really excited at first at the concept, but then at some point you kind of reach this threshold where you really truly understand what the technology can do for the future of humanity. and it just gets really exciting. And then kind of just like a bit of ease washes over you when you realize like the technology is here to stay. It's like nothing's going to change that. It might feel like, really super bumpy because we are, so early in this nascent space. But it's like if you were around during the dot-com bubble and you rode Amazon, right? Like it crashed 90% like 6 different times. Like if you just stared at the charts and watched that, you would just like have lost your shit, right? But if you understood like what they were actually trying to build and change, it's like then it's a pretty obvious, it's pretty obvious, how it's going to happen. So yeah, it's a great time to kind of recognize that we're still at the bottom. We're still in the bear market. We're still in this accumulation phase. The next Bitcoin halving is coming up like 420 of next year. So, and this is typically the phase where it's just kind of not a lot happens price wise. We might get some stuff, we might not, who knows? But like, this is such a great time to just continue building, creating, education, getting ready, because once the rocket takes off, it goes straight vertical, and then it's very, very difficult to catch up or to get footing. So just getting everything lined up and just ready for that ride, it's going to be pretty epic. And that's one thing we've been doing with KEEZ, right? Is, man, we've just been trying to just coalesce together and have like a group effort and kind of like this hive conscious mind, and foster this vibe. And it's been great. Like in the Discord group, it's such a genuine flow of people. And that's one thing I always say about the beautiful part about these bear cycles is the people that are just here for money only, they're gone. Like they come and go, right? When the money kind of dries up and it's not super easy and things aren't super duper exciting, they just kind of unplug and go do their thing, which is fine. But like the people that are here still building, you can look around and see who's here, and it becomes pretty apparent really fast. But yeah, so I think I lost timed out there for a second. But yeah, I think it becomes, pretty clear pretty quickly about exactly who's building and who's not. But so I think yeah, shout out to the Discord fam that's been here with us the whole time.
Yeah, play long-term games with long-term people. That's part of a longer quote from Naval, and it's really inspirational because I guess at this moment in time, if you are only focused on price in the short term, it can feel maybe not so comfortable for you. One thing I can say that I know is factual is that the team at Luxo, they are not playing short-term games and they are not short-term people. The idea of building this network is over 5 years old. So to have a vision to follow it through for 5 years, you think they're concerned about 30 more days for universal profiles? No. In the community, I do understand the impatience, because it's you can't see, like, there's that KPI, that key performance indicator is the price. That's what everybody looks at. Like if we're doing well, the price will go up. But that's probably not what you should be looking at right now. Right now in the short term, right? If you want to play long-term games in the short term, wrap your head around that one. You should really find ways to engage with the people that are here and build long-term relationships with the people that are going to be around throughout this cycle, because it's those people that are going to build, I guess, the framework upon which we can hang so much more as we move forward. I'm really, really excited as we continue to move forward with the possibilities that, we are starting to, I guess, get together in our little community over at KEEZ. And that brings us to a tweet from KEEZ, where KEEZ is just throwing out a thread there that says, "Attention KEEZ community, we're rolling out a host of exciting media ventures and some podcast revamps," and it's all there. If you go to the Discord, you can get active in our marketing group. There's a lot of other areas where you could get active right now if you're interested. I think one of the most interesting things about the KEEZ community is we started by basically saying wherever the energy goes, we're going to follow it. And whatever the energy of the people are that are contributing, we're going to follow it. And that is what we've done this whole time. And that's brought us to this point right now where, I guess, Rob, you can move to that final tweet. Rob is making this happen behind the scenes as the director for this wrap up. This screenshot that you can see in this tweet that was just pulled up is actually Rob's view. He's got his desktop up. He's got a camera up. He is pulling all the strings in the background to make this happen. I always like to tell the story of, I gave away 100 LUKS FA.E tokens just to get people into the Telegram a long time ago, and Rob won it. And when I tried to give Rob the 100 tokens, he said, no, I don't want to take it. We've got to find some way to reinvest it in the community. And he had some ideas. Fast forward 2 years, and Rob is doing something that I think he loves to do, getting involved in VR and directing this show. There's a huge passion there that Rob has. And I think that that's really interesting and exciting. And again, I know you can't hear Rob talk, but thanks, Rob. I really appreciate you being on right now, directing this show, making everything run so smoothly. So if you get a chance to shout Rob out, friends, please do so. I'm seeing alts kind of float back and forth. I'm wondering if we got rugged by technical difficulties on that side. Alts, you still with us?
Oh, I'm here, fam. I have become one with the multiverse. I'm communicating through mental telepathy right now. So yeah, I've literally, I took 6 pink pills before the show started. So I'm just speaking with my mind at this point. It's quite awesome feeling, to be honest. But yeah, shout out Rob. Rob has been crushing it on the tech side. We've been trying, like I said, this is literally, we're just kind of creating a new sector that didn't even exist before. So it's definitely a bunch of big technical hurdles, but we will just continue to shape the show and keep growing it and improving things as we go. But shout out Rob for helping make this happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess now that we're on this this frame here, it'd be a great time if we could throw up any interesting tweets from the hashtag pink pill. We could answer some questions or just talk. We got one from Sage that just popped up. This new wrap-up format is light years better than a standard Twitter space or X space. I don't know, either way. Hashtag pink pill. I appreciate that, Sage. Honestly, there's been a lot of work that's gone into this, and Rob is working like a madman to pull it all together right now. So I think that that's pretty exciting.
Oh, we got another one from Luxo King. Shout out Luxo King. Hey, Pink Pill, amazing session. What Luxo projects are hyping you right now? Can we get a common project database? Hashtag Pink Pill. Actually, yes, KEEZ DAO has actually been working on a list of all the active projects that we know of that are building. I think we can get that shared maybe in the chat, a link to that. But we have, yeah, there is a list out there, and we are continuing to grow and evolve that. Man, ones that are getting most excited. Oh man, so many of them, so many man, MetaHeads.
Actually,
I'm excited for MetaHeads. Like, I shout out MetaHeads because we are building a lot of stuff to integrate into Luxo. Universal pages, that's one that I cannot wait to really start dabbling once universal profiles go live and build out a lot of this stuff. Yeah. So what about you, ETH? What are a couple that are getting you excited?
well, before I even get to that, I just want to say that was a great example that that project board that lives in the KEEZ DAO Notion, that came from Hans, who expressed an interest in starting and maintaining the board. And actually, Hans and Dwope immediately got in with Sage, put that thing together. That's a publicly maintained database and shows the flexibility of a decentralized organization that we can really move quickly in any direction that the members want to go. So that is up. It lives on the KEEZ Notion. If you're not familiar on how to get into the KEEZ Notion, hop into the Discord. We'll point you in the right direction. If you're wondering what has me the most excited for all of the projects that are coming out, I could give you an NFT project that I'm really excited about being chill with an ocean creature coming from our friend Presto. Honestly, I like chill whales. I like the art. I'm actually pretty excited to have that drop. I know that might not give you like amazing utility where you'll be able to solve account abstraction, but as a collector of art, I appreciate that stuff. So I'm actually looking forward to it. And it's going to drop, I believe, on Universal Page. So I guess piggybacking on the idea that I guess piggybacking on your shout out of Universal Page, they're going to use the drops feature from Universal Page to launch that collection, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, shout out Chill Wells and Presto, such an he's Luxo OG. Yeah, and using the drop function via Universal Page, which, man, if you haven't played around with Universal Page, definitely go check it out. I actually did I've done several walkthroughs of the process showing just how simple it is. And it is insanely simple to launch and drop an NFT using Universal Page. And that's one of the great things about these standards is it allow for just anyone to just with a few clicks drop something and you can purchase it directly from their Universal profile.
I'm looking down. We just had a tweet pop up. Robbie Bickle's a legend from Leadfoot, and I am super pumped up about that. And actually, I'll make mention of that right now. The District VR. I don't know why I didn't think about that before, but I'm super interested, and we'll be reaching out and trying to lean pretty hard on them to maybe do some joint experiences. It'd be great to have Leadfoot on the decks inside of the Pink Meta Yacht. That will be part of the Pink Meta Yacht is actually still in dry dock, so to speak. And once we get that ready to go, we will use the Pink Meta Yacht in our Pink Pill series, which will be on Wednesdays. Right now, we're just waiting to get that out of dry dock so we can launch it. But I'm really excited to integrate that District VR potentially into some of the experiences that we would like to have. Maybe they'd like to collab. And then at the same time, give a shout out to Leadfoot with the Upturn project. Really interested to see what he does with artist tokens. So there's a lot to be excited about in this ecosystem. And I think if you are overlooking any of this stuff right now, or you're not aware of it, and that's the reason you're overlooking it, go to the project boards that lives in the KEEZ Notion.
Indeed. Yeah. If you want to get involved, it really doesn't matter what your background is or what your experience is, because we kind of need Luxo to foster this network effect. We're going to need the full gamut, the full spectrum of experiences and talents. So I'm sure you can find a way to plug in and help if you want to get involved. And it's such a great time. Like we've been kind of harking on is like, we're still early, fam. It doesn't feel like it for those of us who've been here for like 3 years, but I mean, it still does feel early because if you look around in the space, like no one really knows what we're building or doing here. And like I said, we're just getting started and things are just about to ramp up. So it's a great time to start getting involved. So yeah, definitely come and hang out in the space. We're doing some interesting stuff. We're going to be implementing more engaging things. And for those of you who do have a VR headset, make sure you hop into the VR Wolf Pack because we're going to start doing more regular events, and we do have a regular poker game that we do, and we started streaming into the Discord. So you can always just come hang out and watch too, because we just sit around and BS and talk about Luxo. And yeah, it's always a good time hanging with Luxo fam. So we're going to try to find more and more ways to do that.
Yeah, I love it. All right. Well, I think that gets us through pretty much all of the topics that we had laid out today. I know that these wrap ups will continue to get busier and busier, especially with the hackathon coming up here. All of your time is very valuable. So I appreciate you spending it with us, and hopefully you enjoyed the YouTube experience. Also, we about ready to wrap it up?
Yes, sir. Yeah, thanks. Big shout out to everyone who joined us, and we appreciate your support. Like I said, we're just getting started. This was just our first run, and you can expect that the show to continue to evolve and increase in quality and dynamics because we have a lot of fun stuff planned, and can't wait to just continue rolling it out. And yeah, so we really appreciate you, each and every one of you. But make sure you have a great Friday and an amazing weekend, fam. And ETH, before we head out, I did have a question for you.
I've been waiting for this since that last week. All right. Okay. I'm going to buckle this one up. What do we got?
All right. So I ordered an Oculus from, it actually shipped out of Germany. So I called the UPS in Germany to ask him, like, what's the status of my Quest 2? And they said, do you know what they said?
It's, oh God, in route. I don't know.
They said, we are ready.
Oh, I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that. Oh
So
God.
bad. So bad. That's one thing, fam. You can know this. Even though we moved from Twitter to YouTube, the bad jokes will continue to pile on every episode.
I absolutely love it. Oh God. All right. Well, hey, everyone, thanks for tuning in to this week's The Wrap Up. Hopefully you enjoyed this VR experience. Like I said, we'll be back every Friday at this time, unless something weird crops up, like one of us goes on vacation or needs a day off. And then maybe we'll get a pinch hitter in here from the Turtle or Beef Banks. But in the meantime, everyone, stay super pink.
Stay pink, fam, and enjoy your weekend.